Good Wednesday morning, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for May the 15th. Today we are reading together the 59th Psalm. Psalm number 59 has been given the title by the translators in my Bible, God Our Stronghold. The superscription that is provided in the manuscripts says this psalm is for the choir director to the tune of, we believe, Do Not Destroy, which is the last of those. I go back to, I believe, Psalm 56 was the first one with this tune, it seems. No, excuse me, 57. So 57, 58, 59 have this particular tune. Again, if we're understanding this correctly. And we're also told that it is a McDom of David, which is what we've seen a few of over the last few Psalms. And then lastly, it's given a historical context that goes back to 1 Samuel chapter 19, which is about Saul sending agents to watch the house of David to kill him. So again, that goes back to 1 Samuel chapter 19, verses 9 through 12. This is the fifth attempt that Saul has made back in 1 Samuel on David's life. The first one was whenever Saul hurled a spear at David as he was playing on the lyre. That was in Psalm 18. The second attempt was whenever Saul was in battle. And that is, or excuse me, was whenever David was in battle, and Saul said to himself, I will not raise a hand against him. Let the Philistines do that. So this is him hoping that the Philistines would kill David in 1 Samuel 18 as well. The third attempt in 1 Samuel 18 is whenever he gave the bride price for Saul's daughter Michal. Saul wanted 100 Philistine foreskins in exchange for his daughter in marriage. So he's hoping, in the course of doing that, David's going to get killed. The fourth would be where an evil spirit comes into Saul and he hurls another spear at David. David escapes. That's in earlier in Psalm 19. And then this last one in Psalm 19, verse number 12, this is where Saul basically sends a hit squad out against David, trying to catch him while he is at his house so that he could kill him. But Michal finds out about the plot, ends up letting him down through a window, and he is spared. So this psalm is written with that context in mind, and we will certainly see that as we read through the psalm. But David doesn't seem to just focus on this particular historical context, but he expands it greater because he doesn't just talk about the pack of wolves like snarling dogs that we see in verses 6 and 7 and also 14 and 15. But he also talks about the nation. So he expands this to something that's even larger. He enlarges the problem of evil beyond just his circumstances. And he probably sees the evil that Saul is perpetrating against him just as a symptom of the larger picture of people who rebel against Yahweh and who do not live according to his law. So let's read here about Psalm 15 and verse number 1. Psalm 15, verse number 1. Actually, probably need to get that on screen, don't we? Psalm 15 verse number 1. Rescue me, or excuse me, Psalm 59. I don't know why I said 15. Excuse me, Psalm 59 in verse number 1. Rescue me from my enemies, my God. Protect me from those who rise up against me. Rescue me from evildoers and save me from men of bloodshed. Because look, Yahweh, they set an ambush for me. Powerful men attack me, but not because of any sin or rebellion of mine. For no fault of mine, they run and take up a position. Awake to help me and take notice. Yahweh, God of armies, you are the God of Israel. Rise up to punish all the nations. Do not show favoritism to any wicked traitor. Selah. They return at evening, snarling like dogs and prowling around the city. Look, they spew from their mouths sharp words or swords from their lips. For who, they say, will hear? But you laugh at them, Yahweh. You ridicule all the nations. I will keep watch for you, my strength, because God is my stronghold. My faithful God will come to meet me. God will let me look down on my adversaries. Do not kill them. Otherwise, my people will forget. By your power, make them homeless wanderers and bring them down. Lord, our shield. For the sin of their mouths and the word of their lips, let them be caught in their pride. They utter curses and lies. Consume them in fury. Consume them until they are gone. Then people will know throughout the earth that God rules over Jacob. Selah. And they return at evening, snarling like dogs and prowling around the city. They scavenge for food. They growl if they are not satisfied. But I will sing of your strength and will joyfully proclaim your faithful love in the morning. For you have been a stronghold for me, a refuge in the day of trouble. To you, my strength, I sing praises, because God is my stronghold, my faithful God. Psalm number 59. Again, the background here, the historical context that we're given is that of 1 Samuel chapter 9, verses 9 through 12. And we'll begin by considering the type of psalm this is. And again, this is one of those psalms where it doesn't fit neatly into any one particular box. There are certainly elements of lament within this psalm. There are elements of confidence within this song or within the psalm, for we see the fact that Yahweh is referred to as David's stronghold on a number of occasions, if I remember correctly. Yeah, verse number 9 and also verse number 16 both speak of Yahweh being David's stronghold. So there's confidence there. But then there's also confidence, or there's also elements of an imprecatory psalm within this particular psalm, or meaning that God, or that David is calling for justice against these people, for God to fight on his behalf against these evil, wicked people. So it begins with the lament, return or rescue, rescue. He says in verse 1, protect verse 1, rescue verse 2, save me verse number 2, rescue, protect, rescue, save. These are four requests that he is making on his behalf to Yahweh, that Yahweh would come to his defense, would come to his rescue, would come to save him. Well, against two, why does David need rescuing? He needs rescuing because there are enemies. There are those who rise up against him. There are those who practice sin. There are those who he refers to as men of bloodshed. So David needs to be rescued, protected, and saved because bad people are against him. He is lamenting this reality, but also making a request to Yahweh for his help during this time. And he further expands upon this in verse number 3. They set an ambush for me. Powerful men attack me. They run and take up a position at the middle of verse number 4, showing that there is enthusiasm on behalf of these people, on the behalf of these men to do harm to David, and to do so with evil motives, because David makes mention here that it's not because I've sinned, it's not because I've rebelled, there's no fault of mine that has caused this to happen. We know that's the case with the historical background of Saul, or 1 Samuel 18 and 1 Samuel 19. We know that David's not done anything. David has only ever honored and respected and done well on Saul's behalf. But Saul, because of his evil heart, because of the spirit sent by Yahweh, but again, getting back to Saul's wicked heart, I've made mention on a number of occasions as we've read through the historical letters or the historical writings last year and meditating upon some of these Psalms. I just have a hard time thinking that Saul was ever really a true follower of Yahweh. There's not much evidence I could see for that. So Saul's a wicked man, and he has sent wicked men, his hit squad, to go and to take out this godly man that is David. David's lamenting that fact that I have done nothing wrong. I am not at fault here. I've not rebelled in any way, and yet here I am under the attack of other people. So his request to God at the end of verse 4 is awake and help me. Take notice, which gets back to the first two Psalms of the double rescue, the protection, the salvation. Yahweh, God of armies, you are the God of Israel. Rise up to punish, notice this, not just the evil men, but all the nations. Do not show favor to any wicked traitor. So again, David is expanding the evil here, not just to this particular group of individuals and to Saul, but he's seeing this simply as a symptom of all those who would not do what is right in the eyes of Yahweh. Of course, the perpetrators of that mostly being those of the nations. Verses 6 and 7 and also 14 and 15 go together. And they set the scene for us pretty well of the night ambush against David. They return at evening, is said in both of these parts, 6 and 7, 14 and 15. They're both referred to as snarling like dogs, prowling around the city. Verse 7 says they spew from their mouths sharp swords or sharp words from their mouths. Verse 15 says they scavenge for food. They growl if they're not satisfied. This growl word is very similar to the word for complaining if they don't get what they want. And they say at the end of verse number 7, for who will hear? They think that they were able to do all this with impunity, that there's nobody going to hold them accountable. So they think because Saul's been the one to send them, that there's no one who is going to hold them accountable. They're acting like wild animals who have no sense of responsibility to something greater. But one is to note, verse number 8, you laugh at them, Yahweh. You ridicule, again, not just them, but all the nations. Anybody who acts as if they are not accountable to you, or anybody who acts as if they can overcome you, anyone who acts as if they can overcome Yahweh's anointed, you laugh at, which I really, really hope that this takes you straight back to the second Psalm, specifically verse number 1, Psalm number 2, verse number 4, I should say. Psalm number 2, verse number 4 speaks about this, where the nations rise up. They rise to rebel against Yahweh, and David says, you laugh at them. You look down from your stronghold of heaven, you look down at them, and you laugh at them as they seek to rebel against you. Here's the exact same idea. And it's interesting because in Psalm number 2, again, talks about the nations raging. What is it referred to here? The nations. You ridicule and laugh at the nations. So David here is showing that confidence he has in Yahweh, that he will not be deterred by any of these wicked people. Verse number 9, I will keep watch for you, my strength, because God is my stronghold. I believe that contrasts really well with the superscription when it talks about when Saul sent agents to watch the house and kill David. So they're watching the house to kill David, to do evil. But what is David doing? He said, I will keep watch for you, because my God is my stronghold. My faithful God will come to meet me. God will let me look down on my adversaries, again, as a stronghold, something that cannot be overtaken, like Jerusalem itself was a very fortified city, being with its geographic location and its topography. Yeah, topological, I guess, maybe that's a word. Where it's high up on the mountain, so it had a strategic position. He says, David says, I'm able to look down from our stronghold and look down on my enemies and not be afraid of them. So again, there's lament in the first few verses for his unfortunate circumstances that he does not deserve. There's also some confidence here that he's expressing in Yahweh, that even though his enemies are against him, he says, you are my stronghold. And then we get to the imprecatory nature of this psalm, verses 11, 12, and 13. Do not kill them, otherwise my people will forget. By your power, make them homeless wanderers and bring them down. Verse 12, let them be caught in their pride. Verse 13, consume them in rage, consume them until they are gone. So here is David calling for judgment against his enemies. It's interesting, verse number 11, do not kill them, otherwise my people will forget. By your power, make them homeless wanderers and bring them down. This sounds a lot like Cain to me. What happened with Cain? After his sin of killing his brother, murdering his brother Abel, God doesn't kill him, but makes him wander around. And puts the mark on him so other people know exactly what's going on and know that they should not kill him. This seems to be an object lesson that David is calling for people to be able to see the consequences of evil. Don't just wipe them out, but let them be nothing, that other people will see them and be like, I don't want to be this homeless wanderer like them. I don't want to be punished by God for evil. So I'm not going to do evil, because whenever you do evil, that's what it turns into. And I don't want to be like that. But again, all this just gets back to they're evil people who David recognizes are against him without cause. And he's calling upon a just God to come and to punish them. Then, and again, we see the object lesson reinforced at the end of verse 13. Then people will know throughout the earth that God rules over Jacob. They're an object lesson. They know you don't mess with God's people. They know that God is going to defend his people, and you better not come at him, or else you're going to suffer for that. At the end of verse 15, where it talks about they growl and are not satisfied, there's a strong contrast there with verse 16. They're growling, they're complaining, not getting satisfaction in their evil. But David says, I will sing of your strength and will joyfully proclaim your faithful love in the morning, for you have been a stronghold for me, a refuge in my day of trouble. To you, my strength, I sing praises, because God is my stronghold, my faithful God. So 3 times then we've seen within this psalm, in verse number 9, in verse number 16 that Yahweh is David's stronghold. Whenever David's in trouble, where does he turn to? He turns to the one who gives him protection, who provides him with salvation, so that he's able to look down, as we see in verse number 10, to look down on his adversaries and not be afraid. Here we have David again in a psalm that could wear many different hats: laments, confidence. There's imprecatory elements to this psalm, a psalm that covers a lot. But notice again this continued pattern that we see from David, that when he's in trouble, he goes to Yahweh. Why? Because he has confidence, as we see 3 times within this psalm, that Yahweh will be his stronghold. The thought is very simple for me. Am I going to be someone who relies upon Yahweh as my stronghold? If I do that, if I am sure that God holds me, as we sing sometimes in songs, in the hollow of his hands, then I can have confidence in the face of evil. I can have confidence in the face of those who are against me, even though I might lament my situation, knowing that I'm not guilty of anything, but bad things are still happening. I can find peace and confidence in Yahweh, who is our stronghold. If you have any questions or comments about this psalm, please feel free to leave that in the comments section below. I appreciate you taking some time to read along with me on this Wednesday. Looking forward to seeing everybody tonight for our Bible studies. We'll be getting back to our regularly scheduled Bible studies. We'll be picking up in Romans chapter 10 and verse number 14 tonight. Romans 10, verse 14, where we're going to talk about God's faithfulness to give the good news of the gospel to Israel and their unfortunate response that has led to their current predicament. Very much look forward to seeing you then. We'll be back again on Friday, reading together from Psalm 60, which is titled in my Bible, A Prayer in Difficult Times. Looking forward to reading that with you then. Take care and God bless.